All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I will just hit the record button here as well, but we are live streaming to YouTube as well as always, and I'll just grab it on Zoom too. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Kalpesh Patel, and I'll be hosting today's nuts and bolts training on teaching the skills of sales and leadership. I want to apologize for the lighting. I'm in a room where there is very little lighting, and it's actually a beautiful room. It's a beautiful resort that I've come to called Sun City in South Africa. If you've ever heard of it, then you know what I'm talking about. Andy's given it the nod. He knows, he's been there, I guess. Very well traveled that he is. So yeah, Sun City is a beautiful resort up north of Johannesburg. So I've come here for a few hours, I should say, a couple of days of just rest and relaxation after a 2-week tour of South Africa that's been off the chain. So yeah, we're back. Last Tuesday I wasn't even around because I was doing an event in one of the locations. So just to give you an idea, catch everyone up, I landed here in Joburg a couple of weeks ago. We then hit the road. We did Polokwane, which is like a 3-hour drive from Johannesburg, and we had a reception of a couple of 100+ people. Massive event, awesome vibes, lots of music, dancing, celebrations, and just the vibe of South Africa. So that was the start, and then that set the trend, I guess. From there we went to Durban. No, we didn't. We went to Mpumalanga, which is another 3-hour drive, and then from there the next day went to Durban. We flew, then we went to Port Elizabeth, then we landed in East London Airport. Funnily enough, they've got a place called East London here, and then drove another 2.5 odd hours to Port Elizabeth. So tons and tons of mileage being put on here. And then from there went to Cape Town, and Cape Town back to Johannesburg. We had a massive gala. Every event was packed out wall to wall. Massive reception, lots of energy, lots of excitement. And then, we're finishing off. Well, we've already done the gala, but we're finishing off with another event, I believe, this Saturday in Johannesburg. So I had a couple of days window in between. I said, let me grab those couple of days and go and do some safaring and check out some game, some big five animals, as they say, and do the South African safari experience. So that's where we're at. Today's nuts and bolts, we're going to talk about, I'm going to keep it brief today because I do want to go. We just arrived at this hotel a little while ago. I want to go and check it out. By the way, this hotel was built by the same person that built the Atlantis in Dubai. So I've got a little bit of my Dubai vibe going on over here in South Africa. What I'll cover today is the system, if you like, the step-by-step system of this beautiful network marketing industry. And so it starts with pre-qualifying. All right. It's a big step that a lot of people miss and many don't talk about. Pre-qualifying. So that's one of the steps. Once you've done the pre-qualification, which means that you qualified your guest for being the right kind of person, the right candidate to receive great information on making money on an opportunity, then only then do you invite them. So you pre-qualify, then you invite. So the invitation is another step, right? So you pre-qualify, then you invite. Once you've invited, you get them to a presentation, right? So it's the invitation leads to a presentation. So it's a sequence of events, right? You pre-qualify them, make sure that they're ready to receive information. How often do we show information to people that are not ready to receive the information? And so you're wasting your time, you're wasting their time. The whole thing is a little bit kind of, higgledy-piggledy and not really it's not efficient, it's not optimized, it's not effective. So make sure that before you bring them along that there is a desire. Then, once you've invited them, the invitation itself is art, all right? Making sure that there's urgency in the invitation, there's excitement in the invitation, there is enthusiasm in the invitation. These are the key components that make the person really want to show up and commit, put it in their diary, put alarms in the calendar and make sure that they show up. So, there's a mastery around the invite as well. And then you've got the presentation itself, what is, and again, presentations happen multiple ways. So it's knowing what are the presentation options. The best option always is to get them to a live event. If at all possible, get them to this link on Thursdays and Fridays, and the other links on Mondays and Wednesdays, right? So 4 nights a week there are presentations. Get them to a presentation that's live. That way they can see the interaction after the presentation. If they can't make a 7 p.m. UK time live presentation, then you arrange for a recorded presentation where you will show up with them and play one of the recorded presentations, whichever one you feel is most suitable for them. All right. So play the recorded presentation. Then the other option is that, and I love this option actually, you become a presenter. Why not? Like, actually, now, if you're rubbish at presenting, don't do it. All right. Practice on people that are already in. Practice on your teammates first. But when you get good, then start presenting yourself, because when you present yourself, at some point you can lead. You can really lead, right? It's very difficult to lead with only having some of the skills. You can lead to a point with some of the skills, and then somebody else has to do the rest of the leading. But if you want to lead right the way through, then these are other skills you want to pick up. So you know, the skill of pre-qualifying people, the skill of inviting people, and then the skill of presenting to people. And presenting has its own benefits in that you can weave your story into your presentation. You can focus on what you feel is most relevant to them specifically, since you pre-qualified them. You can almost tailor make the presentation to suit their situation, to suit their world. So rather than them coming to a generic presentation or listening to a recorded generic presentation, when you do a one-to-one, it really is in your hands as to how you guide them through that presentation. So definitely learn how to present. All of the slides are available in the back office when you log in under the documents. So, you know, get the presentation of your language. I think there's about 14 different languages in there now. So get the one that is most relevant to you and start using it. Just start, right? Start with your team. Like I said, practice with your teammates. And if you don't have a team, then start practice with your upline. So now you've got pre-qualify, invite, present, and then what's the next step? Follow up. Why do you follow up? You follow up to close. So there's a reason to following up. Don't just follow up for the sake of following up. That's a very boring follow-up. When you follow up to close, then you know that why you're following them up, right? You know what is the purpose of giving them a call after they've seen the information. The follow-up happens, there's a couple of different kinds of follow-up. If you've presented yourself, or if you played a recorded presentation to them, when the recording ends or when you finish your presentation, then you yourself can have a Q&A with them. And a lot of the time you can close business on the spot. So don't think that you have to leave people with information for them to make a decision. In fact, to be honest, a lot of the times that gets in the way of them making a decision, because as they say, there's no time like the present, and the information is fresh. And when information is fresh, strike while the iron is not cold or not cooling down, but while the iron is hot, right? When you strike while the iron is hot, you can then make an impact. When you strike when the iron has cooled down, you make very little impact, if any at all, right? So just understand that the best time to follow up is immediately the presentation is finished. However, if you haven't got the skills to follow up and close immediately, and these are skills that can be learned, by the way, then you might need to arrange a time with you and your upline to do a 3-way call to do the follow-up. All right. So again, see that there's different kinds of follow-ups. There's the 3-way call follow-up with your upline when you're new and learning. But once you've got some stuff nailed and you learn these skills and you feel confident and you feel competent and able, then follow up yourself, because there's no better follow-up again than the one that you do, because you have the most rapport, you have the most trust, you have the relationship. And so therefore, fundamentally, you have the most influence in that process. However, there are, it's not always as smooth running as that. Depends on what your relationship like with that person is like. Do they see you as somebody that's influential, that's able to lead, that's able to guide? Do they see you as a mentor figure, a coach figure, or do they not? In which case, the third party makes all the difference, right? You're never a prophet in your own home and all of that. So you have to gauge, is this the kind of person that you can button down yourself, or Is it the kind of person that will need a third-party voice, somebody else that's a stranger to them, but an expert in the space? So learning to gauge the person and the whole situation, right? All of it, learning to gauge all of that before deciding how the follow-up will happen. But can you see there's the nuances to all of this whole process? There is no one fixed straight line, which is what a lot of people are looking for. It's and that's why I say that it's an art, right? There's a lot of skills involved, and it's an art, it's a dance. So you've got to learn the steps of the dance. All right. So, and I'll go into more detail another time on each of these sections for sure, because each of them is a whole session in itself. But I'm just going through the process at the moment. So follow-ups are closed. Once you've got them in one of two spaces in the follow-up, they're either ready to join, ready to sign up, in which case get them signed up, get them funded, show them if they've never bought crypto before, how to open an account on an exchange, how to buy their first crypto, how to send the crypto to the back office, and how to purchase their first product. You're going to have to hold their hand and take them through that process in the early stages, right? And so teaching people, this whole new world that you're introducing them to, it's not just a case of showing them and then letting them go, but show them how to get onboarded as well. All right. So unless they're already familiar with crypto, in which case they will board themselves anyway. But most people are going to be new. Fact is, only 4% of the planet are in crypto. So most of the people you're going to be speaking to are not in crypto. They haven't bought crypto. They don't own crypto. So you've got to really take it from baby steps onwards. All right. If they are not ready to make a commitment, to make a decision, then they go into another box, which is follow up again and continue to follow up until you get them into the system. All right. So you never stop following people up unless they ask you to. All right. Of course, respect their wishes. If they say this is it's absolutely not for me. I never want to make more money. I never want to improve the quality of my life. I don't want to send my kids to better schools. I don't want to improve my postcode. I don't want to travel. I don't want a better car. I don't want a better home. I don't want anything. I just want to keep my life exactly the same as it is for the rest of my life. Then of course you have to respect that. But if there's even a tiny window of you being able to make a difference, if there's a tiny window where you can add value and help them see what you see for them, then continue to do that. And it's gently, gently, softly, softly, all the way. This isn't about pressurizing. It's not about forcing or manipulating or cajoling, none of that. It is about having conversations that are powerful, that are impactful, and that are making a difference. And timing, when they're ready. Here's what I've learned over the years. Most people will self-destruct when it comes to talking about success. So our job, and that includes us as well, right? We will self-destruct in terms of not being competent in our follow-ups, being too scared to follow up, being too scared to be pushy, all of that noise going on our side. And on their side, all of the self-destruct things they do, getting distracted with life, getting busy, letting the same old drag them back into the norm, forgetting the information they saw, forgetting the power of what they saw, the possibility, dries up very quickly, all of that. So there's so many different things going on in every interaction. As professional networkers, our job is to identify our own skeletons. What are we fearing? Are we scared to follow up? Are we scared to invite? Are we scared to pre-qualify? Are we scared to present? Like all of it, right? Where are we stopping ourselves? What about our fears, our limitations? Where are we refusing to grow? Where are we refusing to expand ourselves into a more influential role? And of course, taking into mind where they're at. There's a big difference between being forceful and manipulative and pushy and making a difference. See, when you're committed to making a difference, I mean, genuinely, and we know inside if it's about us or if it's about them. When we're genuinely committed to making a difference, our communication is very different to when we are interested in making a sale for ourselves because we need to pay the electricity bill next month. And it's such a powerful and yet subtle distinction that once you can make it, when you can make this about your prospect and how you can impact them and how you can improve their life and make a difference in their life, then you don't have to fear following up with power. You don't have to fear asking the question, are you ready to sign up? Are you ready to create your account? Shall we get it done now? You're just natural for you to do that. If you're not in that space, then you'll avoid doing that. You'll avoid asking. Oftentimes we're waiting for them to buy rather than us selling. Can you see the difference? Oftentimes, and that's where our numbers look very different. The people that wait for somebody to buy, their numbers look very, very different to somebody who helps the process of the sale. So again, you want to improve your skills so that you're not waiting for people to buy, but you're helping the process of the sale. You see that? And, as you start learning to be that person, you'll see that there's so much more you can do than you do to get a result. All right. So, for me, it's a journey. All of us in a different place with it. You will learn at your own pace for sure, because it's your business and it's your goals. And depending on how important they are to you, how hungry you are for them, how strong your desire is to create magical results in your life, the speed will determine the speed with which you learn the skills and implement and practice and step over your fear and work out your own fears and limitations and conversations and step into your own greatness and your own power, right? And then, of course, once you've done all of that, if you've got them in the business, if they're not in the business, like I said, continual follow-up. If they're in the business, now the journey begins. Some of us think that journey ends there. It doesn't end there. It begins there. Now you've got yourself a business partner. Now it gets really exciting because you can vibe off of each other. So make sure that you explain the system to them, right? The 3-step system, buying their product and always adding to their product whenever possible. Number 2, sharing. And number 3, plugging in. Plugging in, as we know, is one of the biggest reflections of future success. There's just a massive correlation between the people that show up and produce and the people that don't show up. Always produce a lot slower and a lot less than the ones that show up. It's just strange that people that come to live events, like this tour we did just now in South Africa, the one we did before that in the UK, a couple of locations there, the ones that happened in Australia, the ones that happened in India last week while I was doing South Africa, massive events, all packed out. These events, people that didn't show up to those will pay a price in the future. That's just how it all works. If there's an event on your doorstep or within, a 3-hour drive and you didn't show up, guess what? You pay the price of that in the future. You just do. And it doesn't matter what the story around that was. There's always a story. The story can be, I was tired. The story can be, my car broke down. The story can be, it was raining. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You get to keep your story. What you don't get to get is the experience of the event that transforms lives. Events transform lives. They always do. And the more events you attend, the more transformation you experience. Live events, always the best. Online events, second best. All right. So use both. When online events, there's no excuse. Always show up, right? Offline events, live events, meetups, get-togethers, whether it's just you and your upline having a coffee once in a while, or if it's you and your team getting together on a weekly basis in a huddle, a local team, then do that. And of course, all of the online happens as often as you want it to. There's no limitations. So the follow-up of members is as important as following them up when they are not members. Can you see that? So follow-up is continual. It's continual for people that don't join, and it's continual for people that join, always staying on top of them, reminding them when the next event happens, reminding them that you're going to be there, whether they want to be there or not is always their choice. Of course, we know that, but guess what? Leading by example. If you show up, the odds of them showing up with you increase when it's, hey, listen, I'm going to be there. Come along with me. Let's do this together. Don't do it on your own. I'm with you every step of the way. Let's do it. Me and you lock arms and work on this. What do you want? And then getting clear on that for them. What do they want? The steps. Once somebody signs up, clarify for them. What is the most important thing for them financially to achieve? And if they're not sure, because a lot of people aren't, most people don't think about financial stuff much. It's most people want to bury financial stuff under the carpet and forget about it, right? So we have to then encourage those conversations and inspire them to think further about finance and say, listen, let's take stock. They don't have to be public about it. They don't have to reveal everything to you about it, but they do need to be open and honest with themselves. So encourage them, say, look, go home, do your homework, write down everything, write down all the things that you owe and all the things that you own, and get a net number, get a net balance. Where are you at in your life? What is your net number? And, what is your cash flow situation? How much is going out every month? How much is going out every week? How much is going out every day? And how much is coming in? Is there a surplus? What's happening with the surplus? Is there a deficit? How are you funding that deficit? Like, really start getting clarity around the flow of money, right? So especially in those early stages in the beginning, some people are really good at this stuff already anyway. They have Excel sheets and they have apps and they've created all sorts of systems to manage everything. Other people are really not good at all of this stuff. I'm one of them, right? In my early days, it took me everything to do some of this stuff, right? It's just, I'm Mr. Big Vision, big picture, let's go get it. Details, I don't have that as a natural muscle, but I need to be extra mindful about that always and say, right, where can I add more of what I'm not naturally, so that I'm aware of it. So teach people these things, help them to get clear where they're at, and then clear where they can impact where they are at. If they have deficit, this is a perfect solution to start bridging the gap so that your cash flow meets your outflow. Yeah, your inflow meets your outflow. So your cash flow actually nets out, right? You want at least minimum break even. It's got to be net on both sides, right? In and out can balance for most people is bliss. Most people are completely out of balance. Most people have more going out than coming in. And so, hence why they have credit cards, loans, overdrafts, etc. If they don't have any of that stuff, they are in a very, very strong position. Congratulate them. Like, really congratulate. If they are in a positive situation and they have no debts, no cards, no mortgages, no car loans, nothing owing, if they're freaking awesome, celebrate them. It might be that you can even learn from them. Chances are, given the numbers how they are in the world, if you found somebody that is on a net zero or a positive, then you can learn a lot from those people, right? They're few and far between. But most people you speak to will not be. They'll be in a negative. So help them work that out. And this is a perfect plan to start moving in the direction of getting to zero. And so for me, that's always everybody's first priority. Pay off the tiny bills first and the most expensive ones. The credit cards are the first to go. So if you can crash those out, brilliant. Now, there's good debt, bad debt. Understand that stuff as well. You use credit cards for the advantage that they give you, which is that you're using the money of those cards or those banks or those institutions and organizations for 30 days for free, as long as you are putting that money aside at the same time to pay it off when the bill comes in. The key is not to fall behind, right? So as long as you're on top of debt, it's great. Ahead of debt is great. Why? Because oftentimes when you use these cards, you get points and bonuses and miles and all sorts of different freebies, cashback. Take advantage of all of that. That's free money on the table, because they know most people don't take advantage of it. So if you're one of the few that can take advantage of it, do. It's free money ready to be taken. All right. So do all of that. But when the bill comes, bang, pay it off. So it's out of the way. And then again, fresh. So there's strategies to all of this. Overpay your mortgage. That's another great move to do. You can overpay by a little bit and reduce your mortgage payment time by half. People think 25, 30 years to pay off a mortgage is normal. There's nothing normal about that unless you are playing the minimum game, all right, which is what most people are taught to and trained to play. But when you play to a different game, you can massively stack the odds of success at speed in your favor. My parents and my uncles and aunts and all of the people in my family, previous generations, I can't speak for the current generation. A lot of them are in exactly the situation that I'm explaining. But the previous generation, they were like that. They used to overpay. They'd do everything they could to get rid of the mortgage as quickly as possible and end up not having anything to pay for the rest of their life. What a great position to be in. If you can be 40 years old and not be paying mortgages and rent, genius, right? That's what our forefathers did. Today, for whatever reason, doesn't matter. We're more interested in buying the latest Nikes than paying off the mortgage. And that's fine. Like I say, everything catches up. You pay a price for everything. So we get to decide, right? The Nike or rent-free, mortgage-free for the rest of your life, 20 years before everybody else. We get to choose those things in advance. The decision we make today determine the outcome we produce. So learn this stuff, teach this stuff, work closely with your people to get disciplined around this stuff, and magic will happen with you and your teams. All right. So that's kind of the process. Duplication, we call it, that part. So in the end is where you're doing a handover. It's like the baton. It's like you're running the what are those races called, relay races, and you're handing the baton over. Everything you've learned, teach it forward, pay it forward, pass it on. And now you're building that relationship with your team members. You're giving everything you know over to them. That's the beauty of this industry. You don't have to hold anything back. You don't have to be stingy with your knowledge or your experiences. The more you pour into your team, the more your team will flourish and thrive as well. So these are some of the things, and then these things get duplicated down. You teach that system to everybody else. So let's just quickly recap: pre-qualify, invite, present, follow up to close, teach and train, and then just duplicate those 5 points over and over and over again as often as you can with anyone that's ready to do that in your team. Odds, 80-20 rule, Pareto's rule always applies. 80% of the people in your organization will not be interested in duplicating, 20% will be, and those 20% will produce 80% of the results, right? 80% of your turnover will come from 20% of your teammates. Identify those 20%, work with those 80% of the time, work with the other 80%, 20% of your time. We often have that even mixed up the other way around, right? So you put most of your time into the few and a little bit of your time into the masses, all right? This is where you're going to get the best progress for you and your team moving forward, and keep teaching these things going ahead. So thank you for listening. I hope that was valuable, refresher for many and new information for some. I don't know where you lie with all of that. If you want to share your learning from any of that, then we'll have an opportunity to do that now. Just click on the raise hand button and I will highlight you and bring you into the room with me so we can have a chat and add value to the rest of the listeners of this live or in future recording. We're starting off with one of my favorite people in the team, Dr. Vinod. How are you?
Hi, Kalpesh. That is a fantastic teaching and training.
Oh, the volume's not there. Yep, there you are. I can hear you now. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hi.
Yeah, that was a fantastic teaching and training and how to recruit people. It's very, very interesting. But I remember what you told me the first time. You get 90 people, one every day, and you'll have a lovely Christmas. And guess what? Christmas is coming. And this Christmas is going to be better than last Christmas because we just got paid. We just got paid on the 4th. And you should see the bumper check of amount of money I got in my ATM, which is in my computer. It's very, very interesting. I remember whatever you tell me, I try and write it down. And the second thing you said that give up the Coca-Cola. Well, that's a hard thing to do, but I'm still trying. And what I found is that even after I have recruited them, they've signed in and they don't want to do anything. So as you said, let me spend 80% of time on those people who want to do something. And I'm trying to learn that skill as you are teaching every day. And it was a fantasy. What makes me jealous is the life that you are enjoying, going to Africa, everywhere. Well, next year I'm coming with you. And
oh, wow. I can't wait.
Again. So thank you very much. Very, very nice thing, and I really appreciate your time. And we missed you last 2 weeks.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, last Tuesday I was unable to do it, but we're back on the horse again. So all good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Andy, one of my other most favorite people in the community. How are you, Sham?
I'm absolutely fine. Thank you very much, Kalpesh. All the way to Sun. By the way, I haven't been to Sun City. I wish I had. I was supposed to have gone years ago. I was going from Durban down through into South Africa on a big holiday, and about a week before I went, I fell over and broke my hip.
Oh.
And I was never able to go, and they wouldn't give me. I won it in a lottery, actually, in a draw, the whole holiday. And so we never did go, but it's always been on my bucket list to go back and have another go. But wasn't the Rumble in the Jungle in Sun City? The big boxing match. The big boxing match, wasn't it? Yeah, I believe the Rumble in the Jungle was Sun City. Yeah.
Wow.
I believe so. I may be wrong. Other people. But one little thing there, really, really good. Always. I mean, I missed you last week. Something awful. But I had withdrawal symptoms, But pre-qualifying. What are without doing a whole half an hour thing, what are the main things about pre-qualifying people? For instance, this morning I had a meeting with a new lady who is going to be my accountant. Okay.
Right.
Now, she has never had anything to do with crypto at all. Right. So I would have thought in my mind, I'd pre-qualified her. I thought, yeah, this would be a good one to get because I'd never met her before. My other, unfortunately, my accountant I've had for 50 years has now got Alzheimer's. So unfortunately, he can't do it for me anymore. So I did tell her that she's got to be very careful because I've never actually paid an accountant's bill in my life. Because Howard always did it for me for nothing. It was always mates rates, which was free. But that as it may, I said to her this morning that, after we'd gone over the bit of business we had to do, I said, now I'd like to talk to you about, what I'm doing and are you involved in the crypto world at all? She said, I know absolutely nothing about it whatsoever. I said, well, don't you think as an accountant, you ought to start learning about it? Because if you learn about it now, in a couple of 3 years' time, when it's going to start to become mainstream, you will be ahead of the race. You'll be there. You'll be able to help your clients into crypto because you'll be the one that knows all about it. And she said, well, that's really worth something thinking about. And so we had a little chat about it anyway, and I left that with her. Now, what else do I have to do to pre-qualify her?
Build up some desire. So pre-qualifying, means that they're open, but also that there's a desire. So you've already triggered the conversation, you started it, you've already built a picture of what's possible, which is beautiful. You've given her a future to live into that, hey, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, she could be a specialist in an area that everybody needs a specialist in when nobody else is. So perfect. Build on that, for me, I often want to focus on like, what are their personal goals? So at the moment, you've shown her a business opportunity for her own business to be ahead of the game as an accountant. Great.
Yeah.
If you can somehow link that to personal goals, personal achievements, what does she want? A lot of the time, we're scared to ask people personal questions. You'll be amazed how open people are when we ask. Get personal is the next step. You've done the business bit, now get personal. So just ask her, hey, listen, just out of interest, what are some of the goals that you've got in your life that you still haven't achieved that you still want to achieve? What are some things you want to do still? And get
I think that's a very good approach, actually. I mean, it's always very difficult. I mean, I never met the girl before, lady. Never met her before. We met in a coffee shop in Ringwood, and had calls now. But I thought I've set it off, I think, in the right road. I certainly did.
Yeah, you have. You started it off perfectly. And the other thing about pre-qualifying, it doesn't necessarily happen in one conversation. It can, but it doesn't necessarily. So sometimes it's a process. Every situation is different. You have to learn to assess that, right? So some people will only open up slowly. Others are really open already. So, you'll know by asking questions and going back and forth at what pace somebody likes to operate at.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. Well, lovely to have you back again. Are you going to do these right up to Christmas, or are you?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely fantastic. Well, enjoy South Africa and Sun City, won't you? All right.
Thank you.
Will do. Lovely. Cheers.
Thank you. Hey, my brother from another mother here in South Africa. Lunga, how are you, brother? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Click the unmute button, brother.
Mr. Cubs?
Yes, we got you. Hey.
Wow. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, wonderful. Good to see you again here.
Likewise. Like always. I'm so excited when we talk about pre-qualifying because I had a meeting today with one of the ladies giant in HR. And we were going there to sign up for 20,000 rands, which is plus or minus 1,000 euros.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So as the meeting went by and it got really personal, and we realized that's not the package that she wanted. She wanted 100,000 in terms of South African rands, which is times 5 of which is 5,000.
Yeah, 5,000.
5,000 euros. Yeah. So just by getting personal, so it works wonders.
Look at that. Wow. Living live testimonial and example of getting personal with people. Brilliant. Look at that. So again, upsells happen when you get personal because people realize that you can really, really use this to transform whatever it is you want. So again, I'm guessing the 5,000 euros will earn her the passive side, the automated side, enough monthly to be a very happy bunny here, right? So yeah, well done. Great. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Well, it looks like we've done all the hands today. So if there's anyone else, then please go ahead and raise. If not, then I'm going to wrap that one up. I want to thank everyone that came here today. I hope you've got value. Be sure to implement, be sure to share forward the recorded link with your teams. Make sure that they watch so they also know what the system is, so that you can all get in sync and start singing off the same hymn page. So thank you. Much love to everyone. Mwah. Love you guys. Catch you back here next Tuesday. But don't forget, presentations at the same time every day. So plug into those and we'll see you on the next event. Thank you so much. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.